Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Thursday evening. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or listening on Podbean, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday just to sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL news and highlights and coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. If you're listening on Podbean or Spotify, share around with others, follow on each page, and like the episode. We have Twitter and we have Facebook. At Twitter, it's at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. All you got to do is follow the page there. You get automatic updates for news and highlights across the NFL and college football, as well as updates for future episodes. Facebook, same thing. Just follow, like the page there. Just type in Pigskin Frenzy. You'll find it, and you will get updates for future episodes and news and highlights from across the NFL and college football. So, what are we going to talk about? That's a joke, obviously. So we're talking about NFL today. And last week, we covered a lot going into free agency, a lot going into trades. We're going to cover a little bit of that tonight. We're also going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, and we're going to talk about who he signed with. We're going to talk about the Aaron Rodgers debacle. We're going to talk about some more trades. We're also going to get touch a little bit about the NFL draft, most notably the Jalen Carter situation. We're going to dive a little bit deep into that later on. We're also going to touch a little bit on the Lamar Jackson storyline there, and it feels like a storyline when you get down into it. But we're going to go over all of that here and on Pigskin Frenzy. Now, let's just dive right deep into what we talked about, how we ended the show last week with Aaron Rodgers. We talked about Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. We asked and we were wondering, okay, is this a thing? Is it going to happen? Is he going to the Jets? Is he going to retire? Is he going to come back to Green Bay? We didn't know. We were just thinking like, okay, it's intimate that the Jets trade was going to happen, and it looks like he's very into and very interested in becoming a New York Jet. So yesterday, he went on the Pat McAfee show. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Great content. Go on YouTube and watch it. He went on the Pat McAfee show and just sat, explained everything, and was just, talking about his future and what the Darkness Retreat was like, and just a lot of the stuff that was going on, just, in his life and where he was at football-wise and professionally, and a little bit of personally where he was. And we got some answers, and we got the biggest answer of all. Aaron Rodgers intends to play for the New York Jets this fall. He announced it on the Pat McAfee show. And so now Green Bay and the New York Jets are working out compensation for that trade to go down. What does this mean for the NFL? What does this mean for the AFC? I'll tell you what this means for the AFC. It means more competition. It's what it means. You're talking about a New York Jets team that drafted Garrett Wilson, who was the offensive rookie of the year. You're talking about Sauce Gardner, who's leading an up-and-coming defense, and he was the defensive rookie of the year. He was the best defense, or I would even go as further as to say as the best defensive back in the National Football League last year. It's an up-and-coming team, a young team, but they're building. I think Aaron Rodgers saw that and was like, I like that fire. It's giving me the fire and the adrenaline to go back out there and play football. He wants to be around that. Obviously, what does this mean for Green Bay? It means that Jordan Love is the new starting quarterback, and it means that Jordan Love finally gets that motivation and tries to take up that mantle to be the starting quarterback and try to prove what Green Bay sees in him when they drafted him. So it's going to be. It looks like it could be a win-win across the whole board in that trade. But for the AFC, you got competition now. I mean, the Chiefs. I mean, you have Patrick Mahomes and the Super Bowl champs. You have the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Hayden Hurst. You have the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis. You have Stephon Diggs. it's a huge one. I'll even throw Miami Dolphins in there with Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, head coach Mike McDaniel done a great job there in his first season last year. You got competition, and it's really, really big. You can add the Jets in there now if since Aaron Rodgers is intending on putting on a Jets uniform this fall. I've been hearing also some stuff about him getting some depth at the receiver position along with Garrett Wilson. I've been hearing about Odell Beckham along with Alan Lazard, and I've been hearing Randall Cobb, bringing Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb with him from Green Bay. That is huge. I mean, he's got two receivers right there that he's comfortable with. He's seen them. He's thrown with them for years. It's looking like that could be a possibility as well. And he's got weapons to throw to now besides just Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb. You have an Odell Beckham, who was a Pro Bowl wide receiver. You have Garrett Wilson, Offensive Rookie of the Year, who had a phenomenal season last year. It's looking like that offense could be deadly. I mean, you have running back Breece Hall there. Their running back, Breece Hall, he was a dynamic running back for them last year. The Jets are looking like they could do something, make some noise in that AFC East division. It's going to be a competition because you have Josh Allen in there, and you also have the Miami Dolphins in there. You also have the New England Patriots still. They're not going to go away quietly with Mac Jones there. It's going to be a very, very interesting thing there, and a very interesting dynamic, and see how it all plays out in the fall. Aaron Rodgers intends to play for the Jets this coming up fall. Now, moving on, we're going to go with the Raiders. The Raiders signed Jimmy Garoppolo. I said I was going to get to Jimmy Garoppolo, and he signed with the Raiders. It looks like he's agreeing to a deal, a 3-year, $67 million deal. As I've been told, though, they've pushed back the press conference, and they postponed it, and they pushed it back to Friday instead of today. It's looking like it is going to happen. It's just they're touching some stuff on the deal. But nonetheless, they have both agreed to a 3-year, $67 million deal. Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders, and that's huge. Jimmy Garoppolo, when he is not injured, is a dynamic quarterback. He's led the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, suffered a loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. He's led them to a NFC championship against the Los Angeles Rams. Jimmy Garoppolo, when healthy, is a solid quarterback. I mean, he really is. He's a solid quarterback. He gets the job done. Is he a flashy quarterback? By no means is he not a flashy quarterback. He's not I'm going to scramble around and, make some dynamic plays, but he can make dynamic plays to win games. And that's what it's about in the NFL. Just do enough to win the game. And that is what you get with Jimmy Garoppolo. So it was a really, really good signing there. He reunites with his former Patriots offensive coordinator, head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh McDaniel. It's a good move all around. I think this is what they wanted to begin with. They wanted to pursue Jimmy Garoppolo, and they wanted to have a reunion there because he feels comfortable with Josh McDaniel. That was his coach to begin with. He feels comfortable in his system. And it's looking like they're going to be at a reunion now out there in the AFC West. Now, there is competition always. You got Denver Broncos with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. You have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. You also have Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley with the Chargers. It's competition, but if there's anybody that feeds off that, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is a competitive quarterback. He finds a way to win games, and I honestly like the signing. I think it's a really good signing. I think it's a really good move for Jimmy Garoppolo at this point in his career. I think that with the Niners having Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, and now they just signed Sam Darnold to a deal, I don't think there's any more room for Jimmy Garoppolo to stay. And I feel like the 49ers kind of had it, came to that mutual understanding with Jimmy Garoppolo. So really good deal. I'm excited to see it in the fall. Tell me what you guys think on YouTube. Jimmy Garoppolo signing with the Raiders. Moving on to some more free agency news, just and a couple of notes. I'm not going to get, down deep into the details about it, too much about it, but the Panthers signed Miles Sanders to a 4-year, $25 million deal. That's huge. We all thought that he was going to go back to Philadelphia after making it to the Super Bowl. I was shocked yesterday reading the news that he signed with the Carolina Panthers. Really good deal for the Panthers, especially after they lost Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers. They really needed someone to have that spark on the ground, and they found it with Miles Sanders. Good pickup for the Carolina Panthers. Also, there was some talk about Austin Eckler being traded from the Los Angeles Chargers. That's a trade that that could happen. It was requested by Austin Eckler. Keep an eye out for the Bears on that one. The Chicago Bears were on the prowl with that one. They need a dynamic running back, and Austin Eckler could give them that spark as well there. Moving on to some more free agency news, let's talk about the Lamar Jackson situation. Lamar Jackson had a non-exclusive tag for Baltimore, which means he is staying with Baltimore for the time being until someone matches the offer or outbids, if you will, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Lamar Jackson is he's, besides Aaron Rodgers or Jimmy Garoppolo, one of the most sought after players in NFL free agency right now. Lamar Jackson is been trying to work out a deal for Baltimore ever since the beginning of last season. But they had a non-exclusive tag. They couldn't work out a deal. They're still working out a deal right now to try to keep him in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson is still testing free agency, even though that non-exclusive tag is on there. What does this mean? It means that the Baltimore Ravens are willing to do anything they can in trying to pay him anything, really, to try to make this deal happen and to keep him for the long term. He is a dynamic quarterback. He is a quarterback that you cannot lose. It's going to hurt a little bit if you lose him. So, I mean, and everybody wants him. There's no secret. There's going to be calls to try to outbid the Baltimore Ravens to try to get him. I've been hearing a little bit about Atlanta Falcons trying to make a play for him. I know that obviously the Raiders are out now. The Dolphins. They were talking about the Dolphins trying to get him. They're out. There was even one talk at one point that the 49ers were going to try to, make a move there. But obviously with Brock Purdy and the recent signing of Sam Darnold, like I said earlier, talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, but with Sam Darnold signing there, I don't think it's possible that Lamar Jackson would end up in San Francisco. So it's looking like for now that the Baltimore Ravens have their guy. They're going to keep him there until we hear something drastic. It's not really likely, I don't think, that Lamar Jackson goes anywhere. I would say it's looking like Lamar Jackson is going to stay in a Baltimore Ravens uniform for the time being. Now, moving on to some other news, going into the NFL draft. While it was a big day in NFL free agency, a big day for trades, and just a big day in general, we'll get back on the trade talk soon. We're going to get settled with some NFL draft coverage for a second. Let's talk about Jalen Carter and the news going on there. Jalen Carter got his update for his sentencing for the deadly car crash involved former teammate Devin Wilcox and Chandler LaCroix. Still, thoughts and prayers go out to their families and friends, but he got his sentencing, and it was probation. He was sentenced to probation. He does not need to serve any jail time. However, could you say this affects his draft stock? Yes, it does. And I'm about to tell you why. Yesterday was the beginning and the opening of league year, but it was also the pro day for the Georgia Bulldogs. And I'll talk more about the Georgia Bulldogs coming up Tuesday on Pigskin Frenzy, on the college football episode of Pigskin Frenzy. But Jalen Carter, that situation going on there. We had a pro day yesterday for the Georgia Bulldogs. He showed up, and there was reports out that he was 9 pounds heavier, and he failed to complete his drills. Now, Jalen Carter is, in my mind, is a top 5 prospect. Does this kind of hurt him? Yes. In a way, it hurts him a bit. Now, he wasn't scheduled to do any participation in do some drills or any participation in the combine. He was just going there for interviews. Now, I said in a past episode, just wait until Jalen Carter does pro day. I think he was going to be electric. I think he was going to nail all the drills. I was shocked once I read the news yesterday about that. I was absolutely stunned with the Jalen Carter news coming out of pro day for him. I thought it was going to be a lot better. I thought he was going to be there in shape, ready to go. I thought he was going to nail all the drills because I think he's one of the best defensive players in this year's draft. It just amazed me. I mean, what I read, honestly. I didn't really know how to react to it. I was thinking, okay, I think a lot of the stuff going on right now is sort of getting to him a little bit. I think Jalen Carter is still an amazing talent. I think he will he'll find his groove again and he will get drafted. I think this may dip him a little bit in the draft. I don't think he will go top 5 currently. I think I would slip him out of the top 5 just a tiny bit after the pro day that he had. He is a good talent, but this is showing scouts right now okay, this is, we may have to dip him out of the top 5 and consider other options. Now, like I said before, Jalen Carter, amazing defensive tackle for Georgia, back-to-back national champion. He is in my mind, and has the talent to be a top 5 pick. I just think that for best interest right now, he falls out of my top 5 after what happened. Other news for coming out of the NFL draft, and this will tie into the trades. The Panthers are now the owners of the number 1 pick. The Chicago Bears ended up trading, I think it was 3 first rounders and DJ Moore for the number 1 pick, and gives the number 1 pick to the Carolina Panthers. They get 3 first-round picks, and they get DJ Moore, the Bears do, and the Panthers get the number 1 pick for this year. What does this mean? It means that this changes the whole dynamic on who goes number 1. And it changes my dynamic on who goes number 1. At first, I said the Bears needed to go all in on Will Anderson. He was the best player in the draft. He was the best defensive player in the draft. I still believe he's the best defensive player in the draft. However, I don't think he should go number 1 anymore. After that trade, I thought that was a good spot for him. I thought Chicago, and I think Chicago still is a good spot for Will Anderson. Now, thinking about it, the Panthers need a quarterback. The Panthers indeed need a quarterback. They need a spark, and they need something there to build around. It's looking like after McCaffrey left and after Sam Darnold left, it's looking like the Panthers are going to start all over. And what better way to start over than by picking 2 quarterbacks, or 1 or 2 quarterbacks, rather. You got Bryce Young and you got CJ Stroud. I would say Bryce Young is a good option if you want the more elusiveness, if you want more of a dynamic decision maker and poise and confidence. If you want that, you're going to get a Bryce Young. But if you want another quarterback that is a heavy thrower, precise decision making, clean and crisp accuracy on his throws, you want to CJ Stroud. And everyone, all the talk about CJ Stroud being, okay, he's not all that mobile. Watch the Georgia game. Watch the Peach Bowl playoff semifinal with Georgia, and you'll see mobile from CJ Stroud. He proved all the doubters wrong there, and it was an excellent performance for CJ Stroud there. He showed why he was deserving of being in the top 5 in the NFL draft. Right now, it's looking like the Panthers are leaning towards CJ Stroud for the number 1 overall pick. I wouldn't contest to that at all. I think CJ Stroud, like I said, is equally as deserving of being the number 1 overall pick at this time. That's where I see it. I see if the Panthers can't agree on a quarterback, I would think they would end up trading the number 1 pick, which is kind of funny because they got rid of a bunch of stuff for that number 1 pick. However, if they can't come to an agreement, I would say trade it. But it's looking like that CJ Stroud might be the number 1 overall pick. at this time. Now it's still weeks out. You still got almost a month out from the NFL draft from Kansas City and Union Station, but you got to think, I mean, it's looking like CJ Stroud could be that guy for the Panthers, and he could. You could draft him. You can build around him. You can get, I mean, you got Miles Sanders. Now you get CJ Stroud into the mix, and you have those two as a dynamic duo. All you need now is more receivers. You got to just build up your line, build up the receivers, and the NFC South has a young and up and coming hungry team that could compete with the New Orleans Saints. Because right now the New Orleans Saints is the team in the South after adding Derek Carr to their roster. So if they drafted the CJ Stroud, that could work out well for them, and they can build towards the future. It's interesting dynamic. It's going to be one to, keep an eye on and to see. It's going to be a really, really interesting draft and see what route they take. They could trade the number 1 pick, or they could pick a quarterback, most likely Ohio State quarterback CJ Stroud. That is all for today. That is all the news and highlights across the National Football League that we have. A big thank you for joining us here this Thursday evening. Subscribe on YouTube, like the episode, and leave a comment. Have your thoughts and opinions of everything going on in the NFL. Just leave your comments down below on YouTube. On Podbean and Spotify, share around with others. Leave a like on the episode and follow the channels there. Twitter, it's at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. Follow the page there. Turn your notifications on, and you'll get updates, news, and highlights for future episodes and across the National Football League and college football. Facebook, same thing. Just follow and like the page. You will get updates for episodes, and you'll get news and highlights across the National Football League and college football. That's all we have for today. I'm Joel Norris, and signing off, and we will see you Tuesday for a college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy.